And happy Saturday afternoon, everybody, and thank you again for joining the Marketing Corner. My name is Sean Campbell, and I'm super, super excited as every Saturday morning to be here to give you all the latest and greatest in our local community, the business leaders, and to share our stories. That we've had just an amazing lineup of guests so far since we've started. This is our 8th or 9th show, and it just gets week after week. It's just guest after guest. It's just been unreal. So you can catch each one of the episodes of the Marketing Corner on YouTube at the Marketing Corner, hosted by Sean Campbell, or on Spotify as well. So co-host today, my good friend Candace Eaton.
Hey, Sean.
How you doing today?
I'm pretty good.
So
on time, even.
You are way early today. I was pulled up, and I'm like, did she stay overnight?
I told you. I don't have on time. It's not a thing I've had. I've been looking for on time my whole life.
Yeah.
It's absent without leave.
Yeah.
I have comedically early and maddeningly late, and those are my two options. So I need to really just work with those.
Especially this week.
Yeah, it's been a week.
Yeah.
It's been a week.
But you're doing well today.
I am.
Good. Remember, no cursing on the show, please.
Yes, I know.
I know it kind of
the incomplete list of impolite words.
Yeah. So two things real quick before we get to our special guest. Candace and I do the hot seat every second Tuesday of the month, and the next one is November 12th at the Sands Club, right?
Yes.
We have Jonathan Bowie from Phoenix coming down.
Yes.
And we're still, the other panelist is TBD as of today.
Correct, yes.
But between you and I, we'll find somebody.
We will find someone fantastic.
And then you're also going to be co-hosting another show here in a few weeks. And then on December 28th, you'll be hosting this show.
I will be hosting this show. You are sending me in here without supervision. I don't know if that...
And who's your guest going to be that day?
Star Hansen.
Yeah.
A professional organizer.
Yeah. And I think we all need that. So.
And TED Talk extraordinaire.
Oh, that's cool.
Yes.
That's cool. Who's our guest today?
Our guest today is Johnny from Spark Project Collective.
Yeah. And you can say her name.
And Kahealani Kahipo.
Yeah.
Did I get that one? I got the last name wrong?
Last name wrong. That's
okay.
It's all right.
I got the first name right.
First name real
Close.
good. So you're
my apologies.
You're doing great.
If you're watching this on video on YouTube after the live, we are live, by the way. If you're watching this, I met Johnny this week, and he is a baseball fan in general. So don't, the D-back stuff is okay today. my team won the World Series this week. There's a lot of stress off my shoulders. I'm very, very happy this week. But welcome to the show, Johnny.
Thank you for having me.
Make sure you're a little bit closer to the mic there. So, Johnny, for the people who do not or are not familiar with the Spark Project Collective, let's kind of set the base for what that is, what inspired you, and, give us the lowdown on everything about that.
Spark Project Collective is a ton of different things. It's a tattoo shop. We do body piercings. We are an event center.
Mm-hmm.
We're a metaphysics shop, a small print shop.
Mm-hmm.
Really just whatever it grows into is kind of what Spark Project Collective has become.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a vessel for us to be able to utilize kind of like a retail environment, if you will,
mm-hmm.
to utilize it for the nonprofit world.
Mm-hmm. So where did this idea stem from? I mean, I'll be honest, the first time I met Kay and, you told me about it, and I walked away, and for days I'm like, what is it, right? I'll be honest, right? You explained it perfectly. There's nothing wrong with that. But where did this idea stem from? Because we're going to use a bunch of baseball terms today. It's so out from left field, right?
Right.
I know that one.
You know that one.
I know that one.
Yeah. So, tell us about, did you just wake up one day and this was kind of, or was this something you've always dreamed of?
So what it's become is definitely not what I thought it would
mm-hmm.
be years ago.
Mm-hmm.
When I was going through college, I did a lot of volunteer work for nonprofits, but also
mm-hmm.
did my own entrepreneur work.
Okay.
Along the way, I kind of fell into the tattoo industry,
mm-hmm.
Focused on that for a couple years, along with running businesses, but kind of letting employees handle
mm-hmm.
the day-to-day.
Mm-hmm.
And then I realized one day that it could possibly merge with the the money that was coming in through the tattooing,
Mm-hmm.
there was just, it felt like there was enough meat on the bone to where
Mm.
it can kind of work with this concept.
Mm-hmm.
I did try it out in California where I lived, out in like the Orange County area,
Okay.
and it never quite got off the ground.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to be closer to my oldest daughter at the time.
Oh, okay.
So that's what brought me out to Tucson.
Mhm.
When I first came out here, the plan was to just kind of retire
Mm.
and just do my
Yeah.
own thing. 'Cause I had
Yeah.
businesses that were doing well.
Mm-hmm.
And then got about 6 months into that and realized that I was way too young to retire.
Yeah.
And
I was going to say you're, what, 30 maybe?
I'm 40, 43.
Are you? You look
Yeah.
good. You look great.
Thank you.
Despite the Diamondbacks attire.
Um,
You could throw it back at me too, Johnny.
you're not wearing anything right now, though.
No. Hold on.
Oh, you got the Dodgers going on?
No, yeah.
There we go.
I got the Dodgers dog hat right
Nice.
there. Pretty cool, right?
Well,
Right?
I am happy that they won the World
That's what-
Series.
okay.
Thank you.
But yeah, coming out to Tucson, I did about the 6 months. Just realized that I was too young to try to just
Mhm.
retire and do stuff from home. But I didn't know the community very well. So I
Mhm.
started driving around doing Ubering and different things so I can engage with people
Mhm.
because I'm more of an introverted person.
Yeah.
And for about 6 months, did that, got to know the community, but realized that Tucson was definitely divided into 4 quadrants.
Hmm.
So then in my head, it's, can I build a business that pulls people out of their quadrants on a consistent basis to,
Mhm.
to try to build community? And that's where Spark came to be.
Mm-hmm.
Originally, it was meant for me and maybe 1 or 2 other people to try to just do the tattoo services, give back to the community,
Mm-hmm.
and call it a day. I would have been happy at that point. And then,
But look what you got yourself into.
yeah, and along, I would say within the first year, we had an individual come by and kind of explain their story. They were from out of state, trying to
Mhm.
go to U of A. It wasn't working out so well, but
Mhm.
they really didn't want to go back to their home.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of sat down with them and just figured out a little game plan. And then the idea of Friday the 13th, where you have a lot of flash stuff coming
Yeah,
through.
yeah.
I was like, you know what? I think we can pull off maybe doing an everyday kind
Hmm.
of Friday the 13th idea.
Hmm.
We tried it out.
Mm-hmm.
It was a huge success. And
Mhm.
then my mind, just being my mind, I went to, what else can I do?
Mm-hmm.
How many people can I help get on this path? And now we're here today. The team is, I think, roughly 25 to 30
Wow.
people big.
Mm-hmm.
It's gone into the event center category, the metaphysics shop,
Mhm.
and it's really just how can we help the community in areas where I feel like
Mm-hmm.
it could use some more assistance.
One thing that struck me when I first met you, and that I was very, very impressed by, to be honest, is that there's a saying called "the loudest man in the room is the weakest man in the room."
Mm-hmm.
Everything that comes out of Johnny's mouth means something.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Candace and I have a few discussions about this.
Well, you know.
We won't go about who, but that's one thing I really appreciate you, and we've really only known each other for maybe over an hour now. But I really appreciate your servant leadership. You know what I mean? You're always kind of, so far it seems like, you know, you're trying to, like, how could I lift other people up instead of kind of like telling people what to do.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You-
Am I spot on, or am I completely wrong
it's
about you?
definitely, that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
I'm a very quiet person by nature.
Mhm.
Again, I'm very introverted,
Mm-hmm.
but my mind is always
Yeah.
circling with ideas and different things that can help. And the concept of training tattoo artists per se,
Mm-hmm.
it's not about the tattooing. So
Mhm.
the big goal is teaching them how to run their businesses.
Mm-hmm.
Or the biggest thing for me is how can they grow mentally.
Hmm.
One
Mhm.
thing that I notice is that the people that come in there, they feel very lost. They want to have something more, but they don't know how to get it.
Mm-hmm.
And what I quickly understood was a lot of times they were in their own way, like
Mhm.
self-confidence issues,
Mm-hmm.
mental struggles. So even though I am teaching them a skill where they can make a really good amount of money,
Mm-hmm.
I do try to constantly reinforce with them that that's not what it's about in the long run.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you have to learn how to be mentally strong,
Mm-hmm.
how to face adversity when it hits you.
Yeah.
Because as you
Yeah.
move up in the world, you're going to be attacked more.
Yeah.
And so that, to me, that's the bigger picture of Spark. And it's not just with the tattoo artists. Like we're trying to do that in the metaphysics shop, and they're entrepreneurs as well. The plan is to soon open up to just the general public with the next move that we make.
It was interesting because I was listening to a book this morning, and it said that every entrepreneur has that artistic part of it. It's learning how to be that artistic, where it seems like your mission, they have that artistic part of it, but now it's time to teach the business aspect of it. Was that kind of accurate?
To an extent.
Yeah.
I think they have the want to have something more.
Yeah.
I definitely don't focus on the artistic aspects.
Right,
I
right.
do believe that anybody can learn how to tattoo if they have the desire, but not everybody can learn how to run a business properly.
Yeah.
Like you have to have determination and
Yeah.
true dedication to be able to do it properly.
Yeah. So we got about 20 minutes left in this segment, so we got a lot of things that we want to cover in the last 45 minutes. I want to get to something you said about the four quadrants in the next section here, but you're listening to the Marketing Corner on 10:30 a.m. We are back in the Marketing Corner's special guest, Johnny Vasquez from the Spark Project Collective. If you have any questions, feel free to call them in, 520-790-2040, 520-790-2040. If you have a question for any of us in the studio, even you can.
Okay.
Before the break, I wanted to, I spoke about, you noticed when you were just moved here to Tucson from Orange County. What part of Orange County?
So I'm from like the Lake Forest, Irvine area.
Yeah, my grandfather lived 2 miles down the street from the Big A. So that's when I became a huge, baseball fan. My grandfather was an Angels fan. My dad was a Dodgers fan. Grew up playing baseball. And after high school, I wanted to go to Fullerton State, actually, to try to walk on. But I wasn't that good, though.
Oh, I don't hardly know what any of that means,
Dreams.
but okay.
Dreams. You spoke of the four quadrants of Tucson. Explain that.
So I just noticed that people didn't leave their general areas. So as I was doing the Ubering and stuff, it seemed like when I would get a pickup, the drop-offs were always in a very small area or just strictly to downtown and then back to where they're at. So it seemed like there was one place that people wanted to gravitate to. And I like challenging myself and doing different things in businesses and trying to do what hasn't been done before.
To be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was one of my biggest challenges is can I find a way to get what I'm observing to maneuver to what I created? And I think we've been very successful. In fact, we get people from all over the U.S.
Oh, wow.
So I don't know how we pull people from, say, New York. But I think through social media, it's friends of friends of friends, and then they're making trips solely to come down to kind of check out what Spark is.
When someone is getting into the world of entrepreneurship, and they would ask you, give me 3 to 5, of your biggest nuggets, your biggest pieces of advice, what would those biggest pieces of advice be?
I would say the biggest ones is definitely do the research and have the understanding of the knowledge before trying to just jump into something. And then when you do jump in, you need to make sure that you jump in all in. If you try to put your toe in the water, it's really not ever going to work, and things will kind of fall apart quicker than you imagined. But owning your own business, it's not easy. It definitely takes the proper mindset to keep pushing forward, because you're going to have way more failures or struggles, if you will, before you ever have your success. And it's very rare that you have it instantaneously. So it normally takes a couple years before you really see anything happen traction-wise.
Yeah, it seems week after week, Candace, you've been a part of a couple of shows now. Week after week, one of the common themes is failure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You kind of got to get used to it as an entrepreneur. It's you crawl before you walk, right? You got to fall down. You got to test things out and try things out. And one of my favorite pieces of advice from a famous entrepreneur is fail fast.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I thought you were
it.
going to quote something out of my book, but I guess not.
Not today, sorry, Sean. But no, seriously, like try the thing. If the thing works, great, keep going. If the thing doesn't work, move on.
Yeah.
Find a new thing, like find a new angle, find a new product, find a new something, right? Like, but fail fast. Don't cling to that thing because it was your favoriteest thing, and you know.
Yeah. What's the biggest thing, Kay, that you've learned from Johnny?
The biggest thing I would say I learned from Johnny would be, I don't know
if you have a couple.
I have a few, but I would say definitely that research part. Because I did go through business and, started my own different businesses before I was even with Spark, and nothing was ever really coming through because, of course, I just had this great idea, right? And I wanted it to work because I felt passionate about it. But I didn't have like the backgrounds or the research really with it. Like I had like my quote unquote business plan, but I never really had a true business plan. And Johnny helped me like sit down and see what my business plan is, see where all my numbers, or even like what is it industry wise that everybody's doing and like how it's working out. And so he definitely helped me with a lot with that, but also really it's just, he kind of also validated again with the mindset. Like you have to have a mindset of an entrepreneur. You have to understand that you need discipline and accountability, and it's not just this 9 to 5. I'm going to wake up today because I'm an entrepreneur, so I can take today off because I can do what I want. No, like you hit that pavement and you grind and you grind and you do it and you fail fast and you throw a bunch of darts at the board, see what sticks, see where it's at, and you always reevaluate.
Yeah, something else I was listening to this morning was talked about mission statements and vision statements. Here's an open question to the three of you: are they outdated?
I don't believe they're outdated.
So.
I think when an individual goes to write one of those, it needs to come from the heart,
right,
and not from what they think people want to hear.
Right.
Oh yeah.
So when you just kind of write something to chase the money, it's really hard to maintain it and stay on track.
Right.
Whereas if you write it from the heart, it's coming from the right place. You know where your goals are at.
Yeah.
And that mission statement or vision statement can change along the way. And I personally think it should change. You should, in your first couple years, you should readdress it every few months and just see if you're staying on track.
Yeah. That is crazy because the book I'm listening to is called $1 Billion Bullseye, and almost word for word what you just said. Because it talked about tweaking it to call it passion with a purpose, or purpose with a passion. I forgot which one it is. But it said it should be kind of fluid.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's what I was thinking when you said, is it outdated? I don't know that it's outdated, but I feel like it encourages you to not be malleable sometimes. You have to remember that mission statement should be a living, breathing thing, and it can and should go with the flow and change as things change, as you change, as your business changes, because some of the biggest businesses that have existed in this country or in this world have ceased to exist because they refused to go with the flow, because they refused to accept change. So I feel like it's important to have one, but it's also important to remember that is not the be all and the end all.
Right.
I also feel it's important that you have one for your own personal life too.
Oh, absolutely.
People call them vision boards. Yeah. And it's just a way to keep yourself accountable and on track. And I think that mission statement has to change because you encounter all these failures and all these struggles in the early stages, that if your mission statement doesn't reflect those struggles and change to the changes that you're making, it's going to be inaccurate pretty quickly.
You mentioned the word accountability to yourself. Do you believe in mentors? Do you believe that you should have somebody that you touch base with on a regular basis to hold you accountable, or you either have it or you don't?
I think it kind of also depends upon what you're really going into. Sometimes when you do certain businesses, there is no mentor because you're the first one doing that business.
Yeah.
So I think it's being able to have that open mindset to be able to still learn and take in, like, learn from others. But I do think that naturally, like us as humans, we're just going to always find that mentor no matter what, whether they are able to teach us about that specific, segment that we're looking for or not.
Yeah.
So, but I definitely think that there's something that you would always want to have someone to help you, like accountability partner,
Right.
or as Johnny
Right.
says, vision boards. Like, I'm a huge believer in vision boards. I do them every week,
Yeah,
every month.
You perked up a little bit when he said vision boards. You're
Yeah.
like, hey,
She did.
I do.
Yeah.
I do. Well, I run the vision board program, so that's
okay.
that's my thing.
So do you help everybody at Spark?
Yeah. So the community can come in every month, and then I'll sit down with them and I'll ask them, what are we making today? Is it 30 days, 60 days, 6 months, 1 year? Is this for personal, love, health? Is it for your education? Is it for your emotional? Is it for business? What are you trying to make a vision board for? And I help them go through with it, and then I do a follow through with them where they can come back the next month, and then we can either change it, tweak it how it needs to be, right? Or they say, hey, I succeeded. This is what I wanted. I wanted it. I did it. Cool. Awesome. Now let's see how you're going to grow from it again.
Yeah. In this last 60 seconds of this segment, I mean, is a vision board, is that something that you should kind of just, is it a personal thing, or should you kind of put it out there? Should you put it on Facebook and say, this is my vision board?
I definitely think it's a
Absolutely.
personal thing,
Yeah.
in my opinion,
Yeah.
because it's your own life path.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that the more you put out there in the world, it creates competition and jealousy and envy.
Yes, indeed.
So it just puts it out there where someone can pick it apart.
Yes, indeed.
And it's a hard thing mentally to
Yeah.
kind of have people picking things apart, what you're doing,
Yeah.
and trying to push forward still.
Yeah. So this
Yeah.
is good stuff. We got
Yeah.
2 more segments left. Thank you for listening on the Marketing Corner. We're back in the Marketing Corner. Thank you for everybody for, tuning in again today. It seems like every week, every day, I get more and more people coming up to me and saying, that was a good show. That was a good show.
Right on.
So I want to thank all my co-hosts / sponsors for bringing in such tremendous guests every week, and just the conversations we have. I know we're moving the needle for people.
Cool.
I know we are.
That's good.
So, yeah.
Like if people can spend an hour listening to the radio and walk away with some little nugget that they
Yeah.
can put into
Yeah.
action for themselves, then
Yeah.
you've done your job for the day, right?
Yeah, my buddy Greg Weatherly, who owns Pest Friends, he's part owner of Pest Friends. He, well, Sean, I was, me and my wife were going to Costco last week, and I started listening to your show. Then 45 minutes later, I'm still in the car listening to your show. I'm like, that's cool.
In the parking lot of
Yeah.
Costco.
Yeah.
All right.
You know what I mean? and this dude is like legit the king of the king. I was at Denver last week with him. And to say he's king of the pest control industry is an understatement. I was walking around with a rock star of pest control, like the Mick Jagger of pest control. We were
Did anybody throw undergarments at him?
I did, but we were we were literally crashing parties. He's all, let's go to this party, and I was crashing parties with him. I was like, but Craig, I don't have the credentials, so you're with me.
Right
And I
on.
was like, yeah.
Oh, anyhow. All right. That was a interesting segue. So we're here talking to Johnny still.
Yeah.
So I really dig this incubator for small businesses and entrepreneurs that you kind of got going on. I come out of the biotech industry, so incubators were easy to come by around there, but hard to get into and hard to, like, if you had a business idea and you wanted to get into an incubator, it better be $1 billion business idea, because you're not getting in otherwise. So I like how you're taking these small businesses and underserved businesses. So you've got like a real interesting broad selection of businesses you're working with. If you could pick the next person that walks in your door, what would you like to add to your portfolio?
To be honest, I don't think there's really any business structure that isn't in my portfolio.
All right.
Yeah.
So the approach that I do with Spark Project is just addressing something where I see the struggle that small business owners have and that they have to go through. But I've been paid to go manage bigger companies. Like I used to work for T-Mobile, and I've done everything from the huge corporate world to the small world. Corporate world's taken care of. Like they have the people there. So what I saw was who doesn't have the means to get to where they want to get to, and it's the small business owner. What we have is you purchase a class, say online, and that's all you have to get the information from.
Right.
I went through college for business schooling and stuff like that, and I actually don't really use much of it because that's the corporate world.
Right.
It doesn't tie into the small business world crazy well because small business doesn't have the money that those tactics need.
Right.
You have to do different approaches.
Right. Yeah, that is. I've worked with some mentors who, at SCORE, and they work with small business owners. They're another nonprofit that works with small business owners, but they come out of the corporate world, and all they're talking about is scaling and I'm like, I'm a one-person show, and I intend to stay a one-person show. And so the focus on scaling makes it hard to get mentors, especially people who have retired from a larger business. So it's cool that you're focusing on these smaller businesses. And
and a lot of times those mentors cost a huge amount of money. And that's where I'm trying to change the game too. Like I don't make anything. Like I have this abundance of knowledge that I would just love to share with the world. And if the right person comes in with the right passion, then I'm there for them. A gentleman named Ryan is the one that kind of sticks out to my head, where we just randomly met at the Sands Club, and he came up and he was kind of just telling me little tidbits of what he does, but I could pick up that something else was there. And I'm like, well, what else do you want to do? Because I don't think you're giving me the information that I think you're trying to sell me on what you're here for Sands Club. But I think there's something else underneath what you're saying. And it turned into this 2-hour long conversation, and now he's over at Spark 2-3
Right
times
on.
a week. We sit down and do little light business coaching. He has this new business idea, and I'm telling him how to prepare for it. And that's what I'm here for. Like that's what I like seeing. And it doesn't matter how much knowledge I give somebody, they have to have that passion, they have to have that determination to keep moving forward.
Right.
And when you don't have the money to do so, like you got to really go down that gut check and be like, what path can I take that's logical for my income level?
There's one thing, like we all here, all four of us here, love serving that underserved market.
Right.
That's the reason why I got into what I started. I started off was just my social media agency, and it was because not every 99.99% of the small businesses here in Tucson didn't know how to execute a good social media plan. Right. But the thing is like most of the agencies here in town, what they want as a monthly recurring, investment, the small businesses, the people that I love serving, they can't afford that.
Right.
I got to provide not only a program, but also if they want to run ads on Facebook or LinkedIn, I got to leave enough meat on the bone, so to speak, to where it's a good investment and it makes sense.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's what separated myself here in Tucson was I'm more than happy to do that because I love moving the needle for that solopreneur and, to help them grow, be a part of that journey with them. So.
Right. Yeah. We can't. Our resources are limited, so having something like Spark Project Collective available as a resource is really fantastic for the community.
Yeah.
So, if someone walked in your door and they were not going to be a good fit for Spark Project Collective, what would not a good fit look like for you guys?
Good question.
Yeah, so when someone comes in and they're more skittish than not, you can kind of tell by the answers that they're giving. Like, I don't ask simple questions because I want the deeper answers. But if someone comes in, they're like, oh yeah, it's been my life dream to be an artist, or like those are so generic, they become red flags.
Okay.
Where if someone starts talking about where they're at personally, how their life situation, how they want their kids to have a bit, like that's what I'm looking for.
Right.
Because those are drivers.
Yeah.
anybody can have a passion in wanting to do something different than what they're doing today, but those passions, if you will, die out very quickly.
Right.
Your motivation just drops because you're not getting the success or the instant gratification that you're looking for.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
Are you looking for people that frankly have some scars, have been beat up a little bit?
absolutely.
Yeah.
They're the ones that are overlooked.
There's a
or-
lot of us.
or they're the ones that are,
Absolutely, yeah.
yeah, they're the ones that are
Way to hit home,
scared
Sean.
to try it again.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what Spark is. It's the motivator.
Right.
We like what some would call the outcast. So
Yeah. Yeah. So it's that's interesting right there, because I think what you're providing is not only the educational part, but that mindset piece, which is very intriguing to me. That's what I'm huge on. I think 95% of the reason why I've been quote unquote successful is just my mindset.
Right.
Right.
Yes.
I wake up every morning and I'm like, I need to outwork everybody. Because
Right.
there's some younger dudes out there. There's some
It's
dudes
you
with,
against you
there's
every
some
day.
dudes with parents who both made $1 million. So I met one of these guys last week in Denver. I'm like thinking in the back of my mind, you got no chance, dude. He doesn't, because he's never been through the
Hey,
ringer. He's
it's-
never been through the ringer. Yeah,
you-
both my parents,
any-
they're millionaires. I'm like, get out of here.
Any problem, you throw enough money at it and it goes away.
We're heading into our last segment. You're listening to the Marketing Corner. The last segment of the Marketing Corner, and as always start the last segment by thanking John, our engineer, for making this all possible today. Thank you, John. Marketing Corner sponsors David Bradley, Medicare A to Z, Candace Eaton, of course, Eaton Photography, Jamar Jordan, Tax Specialist, LaFay Processing, Danny McPadden from Last Bridge Media, Mark Weiss, Sales Performance Strategies. Next week, we got Mr. Bill Netherton
All
from
right.
Professional Bartenders Unlimited, co-hosted by my buddy David Bradley. So
Oh, you could throw a rock and hit his shop
yeah,
from
he's
here.
down the street. Yeah.
He
Let-
literally is in one of
He's
the
a
other
neighbor.
buildings in here.
Let's see if I can have him make us some mimosas next week.
Ooh, there you go.
There we go. There we go.
Am I co-hosting next week? Can I
If
co-host
you want,
next
you
week?
crash the party, Candace. Of course.
Mimosas.
Yeah. Before I forget, Johnny, how can someone reach out to Spark?
through phone, email, through. It's kind of hard to get me directly, so I say.
I've noticed.
I say K. Yeah, I'm always running around doing something, or in the little bits of open time that I have, I'm training the tattoo side.
Mm-hmm.
So it can be pretty difficult to get a hold of me
Mm-hmm.
when I get off from the
What's
tattoo
the
shop.
website?
SparkProjectCollective.com.
You mentioned in the first segment or the second segment that you that research is something that you see as the biggest piece of advice for a new entrepreneur, solopreneur. What do you do to keep up on your own research? I mean, do you listen to podcasts? Do you listen to books? Do you have a mentor? I mean, how do you yourself keep yourself sharp?
I would definitely say more books that come out. I'm a huge fan of Gary Vaynerchuk.
Yeah.
I just think that he's very down to earth. The things that he says hits home for me.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
But in terms of like the tattoo world, the metaphysics world, I'm an information nerd. So like I'm always jumping onto Google and seeing what articles are out there or what's coming up.
Mm-hmm.
I try to stay ahead of the times, so I pay very much attention to AI technology and electronics, like what can help or hurt the industries that I'm in, because if I don't adapt, my market will die.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. How much do you keep up on the latest? And what do you do? I mean,
I have, I don't know why all my books that I read live on my bed where I'm supposed to be sleeping, but I have like a stack of books on my bed
Really?
nearby. They're my emotional support books, I guess. So I'm always trying to read those. I listen to podcasts. I like Gary Vaynerchuk. I really dig Mel. Can't remember her last name off the top of my head. Dang it. She's super popular. She's not hard to find. She's got a lot of mindset stuff, and a lot of mindset on your own life kind of stuff. Because you can focus on your mindset for your business all day long, but if you're not focusing on your mindset for your life, like your going to become a two-dimensional object.
Mhm.
You know, we're building our businesses to build our lives.
Mhm.
It's not thriving if all you do is business.
Yeah.
You know, so I try to have a broad spectrum, you know, stuff that for personal growth and my life outside of business, as well as growing my business and growing my knowledge there. So
Yeah. From your experience, Johnny, what are some of the things that you've seen? You know, we talked a little bit about some of your biggest tips of advice. What are some of the biggest reasons why people have failed in business?
I would say the biggest one is in the world that we're in today, people are looking for that instant gratification.
Yeah.
It happens sometimes, and you might strike gold, but then it's taken for granted.
Yeah.
right.
Business isn't necessarily a number figure that comes and goes. It's how are you able to make the steps along the way to create a passive income rather than an active income. And once you create the passive income, the active just becomes passion. It becomes your passion.
Yeah.
So the dollar figure that you're fighting for and the research that you're doing isn't as heavy on your shoulders.
Yeah. You got to embrace the process.
Right.
How much do you attribute social media to that instant gratification, like the Instagram business?
I would say
Mel Robbins is her name.
Thanks, Sean.
I would say 100% of social media is accountable for that instant gratification, because people feel like the posts that they're seeing and the information that they're getting is so direct that they instantly know everything.
Yeah.
And
Right.
I would say the majority of what you find on social media is incorrect. It's
Okay.
people it's the same people that are trying to make the buck to sell the courses to do.
Right.
They don't have all the answers, or they wouldn't be there on social media.
Right. And I feel like social media doesn't show the 10 years that it took to get in someone's garage or basement or whatever to get to the point to launch the thing to become the quote unquote overnight success. Social media shows the highlights. It shows the overnight success. Do you have to work people through that hang up from seeing, well, you know, they did it. It happened for them right away. Why can't it happen for me right away?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a constant challenge, and we see it in the tattoo artist as they come through. We're able to put them on a platform where they make good money,
Right.
and then they take it for granted. And
Okay.
they think, oh, I can make this amount of money no matter where I go or no matter what I do. And there's so many parts to the equation to where that number figure comes from.
Right.
And I see it in the people that I'm teaching business. Everybody can strike gold here and there. It's luck, but it's the stability that you should be looking for. And the stability is gained in those years and the effort, the sacrifices, if you will.
Right.
It seems like everybody's just real quick to want the instant gratification and to want the vacations and to want all the things that come at the end of the game.
Right.
And if they don't get it right away, they think, oh, well, I can do this better than the surrounding that I'm currently in because now I know how to do it. The success rate's probably not very high. I don't really follow it once they leave unless they check in with me.
Right.
But statistically, they're going to fall into the 99% of businesses that fail.
Is the tattoo industry very susceptible to the mismanagement of their finances? I'm assuming.
100%.
Yeah.
It's a very up and down world.
Yeah.
And you have to go according to the trends. And it's kind of why I used it for Spark's platform, because I wanted to utilize the retail environment. So say like Walmart's, Target's, they don't make much money through the year, and that's why we have a Black Friday. Everything's made at the end of the year, and it's a run to the finish. Tattooing has that, but it also has a little bit more balance within it. But it definitely has heavy seasons and dead seasons.
Yeah.
And if you don't manage your money properly,
Yeah.
it can kind of bite you.
Yeah. I think I
Right.
told you this quick story about how I mismanaged my money. It was when I was playing poker full time.
Oh yeah, you told me that.
I did pretty well out here at Del Sol for about 6-7 months, and then the holiday season hit, and I'm showing up to my regular game, and I'm like, "Where's everybody at?" Because I used to like used to pick on all the retired people
Oh, geez.
who used
Well-
to show up, 9, 10 o'clock in the morning every day and play their game. They lost a few $100s. It wasn't a big deal. But then this time of the year was about 10, 12 years ago. I'm like, where's my customer? Where's my customer?
Where's my customer?
Where's your
And they're like,
next
Sean,
victim?"
they're all on vacation now with their families for a few months. They won't be back till January.
Oh, no.
And that's when I had to go get a job. but that's what happened was that I didn't manage, because I had some great weeks, some great months. But I would go out and treat everybody to steak. But I mentioned this before. It's like I needed to be eating ramen every night and
Right.
putting that money away.
Right.
So yeah.
Maybe not ramen, but not
No,
ribeye.
Hey, don't be knocking on ramen.
No.
You got an Islander over
if I would have
here.
did
It's okay
that,
once in a while.
if I would have did that, I'm not saying I'd still be doing that, but I wouldn't. Who knows? Who knows? Yeah. So we got 2 minutes, Johnny. Is there anything that we've covered or we haven't covered that you want to talk about? Spark, lessons in business, lessons in life. I mean, the open floor for you the last couple minutes.
I would say the biggest thing is don't stop pushing forward.
Mm-hmm.
If you pay attention to what Spark's doing, we do a lot of things in the background.
Mm-hmm.
One of the big things is we're starting to make a move towards expanding and creating more avenues where we can teach a wide spectrum of businesses rather than what we're currently doing.
Yeah.
Just kind of follow us around, join in, understand that
Mm.
every person that comes in, it's not about a dollar figure. It's about
Mhm.
changing the community or helping the community in whatever ways that we can.
Mm-hmm.
If the dollars come through, great.
Mm-hmm.
If not, we'll try to find another way to keep it going, keep it alive.
Yeah. So Candace and I don't know if we're allowed to say this, but we're in current talks with you about moving the hot
Oh.
seat.
Yeah.
Can we mention that or not?
I don't see why not. We don't have a contract with anybody,
We don't have
so
a
let's go.
contract with anybody. So we did visit, and we love your, how. You know what I loved about it is that you told us a few times that you want us there.
Right.
And I'm like,
Why would we not?
and so that in itself is like, wow.
Makes your tail wag, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very true.
Somebody likes
me.
What you guys bring is an element the Spark doesn't have.
Yeah.
And it's something that I'm very passionate about.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't get to have that part of the passion on the day to day
Mm-hmm.
because I'm the teacher. Like
Mhm.
it's just different where what you guys are going to be bringing in is I get to learn. So I get to step into
Yeah,
the
we
seat.
all do.
get to.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah.
I like what we've been putting together within the hot seat and
Yeah.
what we've been creating and I get really good feedback from people that they
Yeah.
get something they can take away.
Yeah.
So
So the next hot seat's November 12th,
yes,
and then we're
4
going to take
p.m.
December off,
yes.
and then we'll announce shortly our new collaboration with Spark.
All
So-
right.
See y'all next week. Thanks for listening on the Marketing Corner.